What a fantastic Peace Corps Connect, and welcome affiliate group leaders and friends. I know some people might need to leave, but you're welcome to stay for this part of the meeting. This is our annual meeting of the Affiliate Group Network. Affiliate groups are RPCV groups that focus on bringing the world home and continue to connect the Peace Corps community and beyond. I am Christina Owens. I served in Bolivia from 2000 to 2002, and I had been elected in 2022 as the affiliate group coordinator. And as you probably heard in the Peace Corps Connect part, we had an election, which I'll go in more details. I am now going to be seated as a member elected board director, and I will explain what that means later in this. And also my co-chair partner in this is George Economides. I think you're gonna, before I go to my remarks, I wanted to go over the agenda. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so we're gonna have a quick welcome. We're gonna approve the minutes from 2023 AGNAM. It had been sent out, and I think somebody from staff will put it in the chat so you guys can look at the minutes from last year. We're gonna do a brief annual update. And then we're going to actually go into more and be able to engage between everybody on here about how we can ensure Peace Corps is no longer chuggy, and we'll talk about what that word means, and recruiting the next generation of volunteers, and of course measuring our impact. I think we go to the next slide. Okay, so we are I think somebody has a link in there. Has the link been posted? A link to the minutes. Okay, the link to the minutes, and also a poll will appear on your screen. And I understand it's going to be open for a few minutes. I don't know if somebody can help me with that. Thank you. Okay, while that's going on, we can go to the next next slide, please. Okay, so as you know, I've been the affiliate group coordinator and board member since 2022. It is a 2-year term, and this has been in place for more than 10 years, I understand. And during this, in 2022, my goal for these 2 years was to elevate the voice of the affiliate groups, which truly drives the direction of our community. I started my term working with MPCA staff to create an affiliate group advisory committee that had an inclusive representation of our groups. Though the affiliate group network advisory committee has been part of the MPCA bylaws, in 2022, it was modernized to reflect our changing community. We ensured that there was a representation for various types of affiliate groups. And in the first year and a half, we had a robust discussion on how the voices of the affiliate groups could be better heard. The MPCA board also had countless conversations on how we elevate the affiliate group voices. As a board and staff, MPCA was recognized. We recognize our role is to amplify the work of this network that is doing. And in December 2023, the MPCA Board of Directors voted to elevate this advisory committee to a standing committee. What's the difference? Well, the affiliate group network advisory committee had no decision-making authority, and their sole purpose was to advise me on issues that impact the affiliate groups. I then reported to the board. Also, as the coordinator, I am part of the board's executive committee, and this is good in theory, but in the last 10 years, the affiliate group network advisory committee has not always been around, including my role. It is a unique role on the board. It is a bit of a heavy lift. As a volunteer, it does take a lot of our time, which we all love to do, but it is not always it's a lot of work, but good work. So this new approach of having a standing committee elevates our affiliate group's voice, but but it also converts my role to a member elected director, and also spreads the work among other board members. So this new affiliate group network standing committee includes an equal number of group leaders and board members. It represents the collective voice of the community, and it also addresses the community interests. We obviously establish annual goals based on the express needs of the community. And we can also make motions to the board on behalf of the community. We do report to the community at large on an annual basis. We feel like this would be more effective in that currently we've been meeting for the past few months, and we are also looking for group leaders, new group leaders to join this standing committee as well. So you can reach out to me about that later, but we think this is a really important change. This is pretty much what we think MPCA is about, is to really elevate the voices of the affiliate group. I am going to now pass over, we're going to do an update on migration to Carlisle right now.
Hello again, everyone. As was said before, I'm the Director of Partnerships and Operations, and partnerships in the broad sense. I'm really supporting relationships with the groups. Next slide. As all of you know, one of the big initiatives has been the migration. So we're going to take a minute to do a bit of an update. Because of time constraints, we're not going to get into a lot of conversations, but I do like responding or question answering. But I do want to reiterate that, as we mentioned previously, we are setting up a forum so that there can be conversation regarding the migration. As you know, some groups or some of the representatives here were not part of this process. So we want to acknowledge it, but we do not want it to there's some other things that we'd like to get to. So first thing for the migration, there were two parts of the migration process. Previously, SilkStart managed both the website as well as the data. With this migration process, that was split into two, and there was one portion of the, we had two different service providers, one to support the migration of the website, and the other to support the data management portion of that. And clearly, from a full transparency perspective, we know that there were challenges. We know that there were long delays that created some frustration. We are also know that communication was not ideal. And we also noted that staff changes at NPCA created yet another layer of challenges with this process. However, we have completed the process. 44 groups migrated to the new website, and 44 to the new database. There were originally about 48 for some groups decided that they did not want to do it at this time. Some have put things on pause. There are a variety of reasons, but overall 44 out of about 48 groups completed the migration. 15 have also signed up for Blackbaud Financial Services. Blackbaud Financial Services is essentially a type of service similar to PayPal, so that donations will no longer need to be processed to NPCA. Some of the affiliates had money being sent to NPCA, and then NPCA would go through a process of remitting that to groups. With Blackbaud Merchant Services, donations will go directly to the respective affiliates. We've also created training modules. Thank you to Travis, who has done several training modules for the database portion of the migration. The other service provider, which is FatLab, has created 12 different modules, training modules, to support the groups that have migrated. We have created, in response to questions about how to donate and to increase efficiencies in donations, as well as planning events, both donation and event forms are now available. And as I mentioned, the technical support is also there. You can go directly to FatLab and directly to Blackbaud to get certain technical assistance, and that's for all of the groups that are part of that decided to be part of the migration. Clearly, with any migration, there's everything you missed something, something is not addressed. So we have prioritized some specific areas right now based on the feedback that we have received from groups. That includes a membership portal, login portal. We have launched one has been established, but we have done what we're calling a soft launch, so we can get some of the kinks out. We have also are prioritizing in events and some calendar sharing. That has been something that has been requested. Membership directory and direct messaging is also a priority, and professional services and mentoring matching. Those have all been things that have been, the voice of the community has spoken, and we are looking to address those over time. And I will stop there. Next slide. So with that in mind, with all of the challenges that we faced with the migration, this has been quite a momentous year, I would say. A lot has actually happened, and we're quite proud of many of the accomplishments. The first is the migration, and what the key thing for us is that we achieved data integrity. One of the things that was noted when we switched from Silk Start was that there were a lot of duplication. There was a lot of information that just was irrelevant. So we are now in a place where there is much better data integrity. Individuals will be able to, for example, to go online and really see what they've donated over time, etc. So that is a big thing that this migration has allowed. The software that was chosen is considered gold standard, so it brings us to another level in terms of how we're working and professionalism and the like. We also instituted bill.com, which is established. It's an electric payment processing for groups, and this was done again to streamline and to be done in a more efficient way. There's transparency, and it allows for electronic payments to be made. We are still working with some groups to sign up, but the system has been put into place. We have updated our data sharing policy. Many of you will receive it shortly. Again, we want to respect people's privacy. We have reaffirmed the organizational commitment to DEI. If you go to our website, you will see not only a DEI statement, but you will see videos. You will see our commitment to celebrating different groups within the community. What we are now looking for is to get input from the different groups as in terms of articles or op-ed pieces that can be posted. So a space where you would be able to communicate and to celebrate DEI. And one of the big things is the commitment has been the DEI standing committee, which has integrated the voice of community members as well as board members. We have also launched a matching grant program. The first three applications are due October 1st for the first round, which will be up to 3 grants. After that, we hope to do up to 5 grants every quarter. That is also something that can be found on the website. The link has also been put in the chat. I guess I really should be asking you, but I'm going to say we believe that we have improved communications from the groups. The team tries to respond within 48 hours, closer to 24, but within 48 hours, so we can address needs. We have also revised the reaffiliation process, which you will see soon. And we have moved from an annual reaffiliation process to one that will be every 3 years. And we will link it to different categories. So there will be some people that we reaffiliate in 2024, others 25, others 26. We have also, with that process, tried to streamline it to make it easier. So you will be getting information about that shortly. We have also established NPCA organizational indicators. You have heard a lot that we have purposefully used collective, community, things of that nature, because we want to move to a space where we can talk about our collective impact. And if to do that, we need data. And so they're going to be indicators. All of these indicators have been designed in partnership with the standing committee, and they are indicators that should add no extra work. And what I mean by that is, it may be, I'm just using this as an example, how many members do you have? Those are things that any group should have. And so it's not like it's extra work. So we were looking specifically for indicators that would serve for the group, but then can be aggregated into something to talk about our full community. We are also asking for qualitative indicators like a story or things, again, that the group itself, each group itself would be able to use. But the goal is not to create more work. It is to be able to tell our story, to increase our visibility, and to show people how important and how valuable the Peace Corps community is. And finally, we're celebrating, we had new affiliate groups, 4 new groups that joined: Friends of Mexico, RPCV Nexus, the Peace Corps China Association, and the Tualatin Valley, which is in Oregon, RPCV Association. So there have been quite a few accomplishments this year. Over to you, Christina.
Yeah, great. And I want to re-emphasize about one of the accomplishments that I'm really excited about is that change from the advisory committee to an affiliate to the standing committee. I see our members, our group leaders who are part of it are reinvigorated. We're able to make progress and take action. So on this slide, I wanted to show, we want to move into measuring our impact. We have 149 groups. They're affiliated with the National Peace Corps Association. Many of them are very active in different ways. And just a breakup, we have 47% are regional, almost 35% are country of service. And then we actually been increasing, I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like we've been increasing our workplace groups as well. And then, of course, affinity and cause-related groups. Now, I think we can move on to the next slide. Sorry. So this is where I want to get more, we all want to get more engagement from you. We want to have a discussion, and what we're going to do is that either you can put it in the chat or you can or raise your hand to if you want to speak. So one of the first questions is, what activity or project are you most proud that you've accomplished as a group? Was there something that you're very proud about? And then you can answer the question with how many people benefited from your work. Maybe give you a minute. Oh, great. RPCV Hawaii is extremely proud of helping our currently serving PCVs from Hawaii. That's great. Okay, so Chris wants to speak. So I think you can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Sure, I always have something to say, so happy to join you all again today. Sorry it's a bit late. I'm really happy and proud of the work that we've been able to do with the Desert Doves in Southern Arizona. We have a long history. The organization has been around since 1982. Our bank account dates back to 1992. We have volunteers. One of our older members was in Group 1 in Colombia of Peace Corps, all the way up into folks who were evacuated in the pandemic. And we just welcomed a new RPCV to our community who finished up service about a month ago. We had a major challenge during the pandemic of kind of board attrition and organizational struggle. And there was a point when we weren't sure if the organization was going to be able to continue. We've had a lot of the same people involved for many decades. And had a struggle finding younger people to take over the reins of the organization. And I'm happy to report that along with some of our other younger board members have taken on the mantle of the organization. And so we have been able to kind of keep things organized, trying to expand, offer a variety of events to try to attract a wider variety of return volunteers in our community, and then trying to focus our efforts on service projects and third goal opportunities, because we work closely and we have a very strong presence with the University of Arizona, which has a long Peace Corps history of its own in association with that. So I'm happy that we are still going and the organization didn't fold during the pandemic, and we've had a couple of successful past couple of years. And as a result, we have over 500 RPCVs that have been part of our network over the years. We're always meeting lots of new RPCVs that are either passing through Tucson. We meet a lot of snowbirds and people who come from the West down to Tucson during the winter, and meet with them and connect with them. And so I'm hoping that in the coming years we will see an uptick in volunteers applying from our region and getting more people involved in the Peace Corps from our area. thanks to the presence of our return Peace Corps volunteers doing third goal activities.
Great. Thank you. And I see a whole slew of people writing in the chat. We're going to probably be saving that chat. This is great. I think, I don't know what was the other question, but was there, I think Thane said 25,000, you've impacted 25,000 women and girls trained, and several life-saving, and I think breast cancer, you said? Okay. And then that's great. So there's a lot of things that we are doing, but we're not like promoting that. Like we need to be talking about it, but also measuring it so we can actually advocate for things that and really push what we're doing, because we are making a difference in the community. But how do we do it? I don't know if Carla, if you want to pipe in about anything else, any comments on that?
No, I just very briefly, I'm watching the chat since you've been doing the conversation, and it's amazing how much we're doing in terms of financially being able. There was one group that said, I believe they're giving out 7,500, and others talking about 2,000. Some people are talking about having reached 25,000 people. Others have talked about reaching almost 2,000 people. It is so, the work we do is so important. We matter, but it's our job to make sure that people know that we matter. And I think when we're talking about, going to Congress and going on the Hill, our ability to provide data is critical. Congress, I mean, that's just the world the way it is. The world today focuses on data. Stories are great too. There's a communication. I'm not minimizing that. The qualitative information is important, but data is just as important. And so our ability to tell our story is critical. And I think you have all made the case, which is really the purpose of kind of generating this conversation, is just to remind everyone that we need to make our case. I see Jonathan's hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great lead into what I wanted to say. And it relates to how this information is so relevant to Congress. And before I go any further, I should say I'm a member of the board of the Friends of Micronesia, and I think our president Dean is on with us as well. So, but especially with geographic groups, one of the things we do every year at the beginning of the year is we start preparing what we call state-based resources. Those of you who've been with us on Capitol Hill, you know about these, but it's like a one-pager where we really try to zero in on every state in the country to say what's their connection to the Peace Corps. And one of the things we love to do as part of that is highlight those geographic affiliate groups. So for example, if your group does an annual cleanup of a river or a stream, or if you plant trees, or if you regularly do fundraising and support at a homeless shelter. We want to hear those stories because we want to localize those for lawmakers. And then as it relates to country groups, some of the big time successes over the years, some of you have just done such amazing work with such impacts over the years that from time to time, we want to highlight some of those groups in general, because what we tell lawmakers is Peace Corps isn't just about those 27 months. And in essence, we have 145 nonprofit organizations out there doing great work at $0 taxpayer expense. So this is really helpful and really important when you share this information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
So what we will be doing again is, as part of the reaffiliation, but there will also be data requests. We will be asking some hopefully basic questions that are no extra work that would allow us to get to have these numbers, so that we can tell tell the stories, as well as to have the qualitative, which is Dan was talking, not Dan. Jonathan was just mentioning about, cleanups and et cetera. So that was really why we wanted to bring this up. If there's any feedback or from you about this, please let us know. I don't know if anybody wants to raise their hand or has any comments. Also, the standing committee, again, is intimately involved in this. So it is a group effort. We are one team.
Yeah, great. Did we want to move on to the next part? I think it's safe,
Yes.
unless somebody else wanted to say something.
I'm in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin, and we've gathered several returned Peace Corps volunteers. And so what we have so far done is, talk to each other and figured out where we were coming from. But then we went to the career days at the high schools. We've only just begun that. And we found that none of the high school students have ever heard of the Peace Corps here. So we're going to continue to do that in the career days. And hopefully more people will get to know that that's an option in the future for them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I think we've seen throughout in the past, from last night to today, a lot, people don't know about Peace Corps. So maybe there's that might be something, if your group wants to do, it might be something you want to think about. I think we were talking about maybe coming out of here and making kind of deciding what we want to do as a group, something small. It collectively of 149 of us will make a huge difference. So we can go to the next slide. Oh wait, I'm sorry, Caroline, go ahead and actually go back. Yeah. Caroline wants to speak. Go ahead.
No, I just really quickly, because just as the previous speaker said, out here in Hawaii, the numbers of people that the teenage crowd they don't know about Peace Corps. They ask about it. We were asked by one of the local high schools that has the largest second language program here in the state to come talk to the Spanish class and the senior classes about Peace Corps.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose her?
Hello.
I think we lost you, Caroline.
Oops.
Virtual. But the
Okay.
best part about working with the particular high school was the parents that remembered Peace Corps. And the parents talked to us and they were like, oh my God, you're back and it's still alive. So the suggestion, and I'm really proud of this because we go to the high school every year, and now we're going to the other big high schools, the huge Kamehameha school system. We're going into the big private schools, working at the senior level to get kids interested and remind them about Peace Corps and to keep the college education because you will need it, but you can use it as you move on. So don't think it's just career fairs. Look at the senior level as well.
Thank you. Good idea.
I think we can go, Stuart, I think you have your hand.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm a board member of the Corva, Columbus, Ohio Return Volunteer Association. We do something annually, it's part of ComFast, which is where all the community come together, and we sell watermelon, and we've been very fortunate to collect. It's all volunteer, except for the payment of the watermelon. All the Peace Corps volunteers have to cut watermelon and dish it out. And anyway, we raised close to $4,500 in that last year. We're going in June. We're going to obviously donate that to a number of groups. We have some standard groups we do. I won't go into them. One of them is CHRIS, which is a resettlement program. But we're also going to give some money to the Peace Corps Partnership Program. There are a number of the Peace Corps partners. We're going to be looking at all of those and trying to select which of the 8 or 9, I don't know how many, there are 8 or 19 on the website. So we're proud about that. And we just gave money to a co-op in Cañar, where I served in Ecuador, and $500 because they're going to be hosting a quinoa conference, a World Congress. This is an indigenous co-op that I've been familiar with. I visited them in 2015, and my compatriot from New Jersey, Alan Adams, has been doing the most of the work. But anyway, that's some of the things that Corva is doing. We donate the money that we make and from this annual festival, and we're very proud of that. And so that's one example. Thank you very much for listening.
Great, thank you. I'll move on because I know we're a little bit behind, but so people don't look at the definition, but I pulled this this name. How do we ensure, this is the question, how do we ensure Peace Corps is no longer shoegate? I pulled this vocabulary word from my kids. I'm now a English as a new language teacher in a urban high school, and the kids are using these words, not just this one, but basically it means something or someone who's out of touch or trying too hard. It's not quite basic, I think, but it's someone who's behind the trends. Like, we don't want Peace Corps to be behind the trends. I always felt like Peace Corps was a little bit ahead of the times. I don't know, but a lot of things have changed in the last few years because of the pandemic. And so I wanted to open it up to everyone to be like, how do we make it cool again, and or just reinvigorate it as and we could just open it up through the chat, or if somebody wants to speak up about it.
Would you mind if I add something?
Mhm.
I think what is so important about this, you folks who have already spoken have pretty much pointed to this, right? That you're going to many places and young people haven't heard of it. And so what do we do to move out of that space? What's our role, and especially in particular, the role of groups? We've talked a lot about the each one reach one and, individual, but what about groups? And so, and what can we do to make Peace Corps something that people, are fighting to get in, right? Like, to take it from there's so many applications, they can pick and choose who they want. Like, how do we increase the demand so that it actually is over what Peace Corps would like? So when we're thinking about this kind of word, that's what we're talking about right now. I think all of you really stated it so well.
Yep. I think Ben has his hand up.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Christina, thanks. And Carla, thank you too. I think the issue is that a lot of people who are millennials, Gen Z, they want to have a tangible benefit from it. And so it's like I posted in our group chat before we got into this meeting, is that sometimes there is that, that Kennedy idealism is still there that I love, but a lot of younger people, they don't even know who President Kennedy is. And that's what's tough, is the realism of what is this organization that is actually a federal government agency, and what is its purpose, in 2024. And I think a lot of folks, especially younger folks, they want to know, if I do this, if I forego a paycheck for however many years, I will get something guaranteed when I come back. NCE is not guaranteed, because if federal HR specialists do not understand how to use, Executive Order 11103, then it doesn't help that person. And so I think it has to go with, going to the top of government and saying, you need to talk about this. And that could do it, kind of the reinvigoration of what happened, in the 60s itself. I mean, it's good when Representative Garamendi talks about it, but if he's the only returned Peace Corps volunteer in Congress, that's really a shame. And so I don't know what the best solution is, because I find that a lot of the people, at least with, the Peace Corps China Association, most of us, have official positions where we have to be very careful how not to cross the streams between what we do for our PCV, our stuff, and what we do officially in government. But that's why I suggested, recruiters should be more experienced people, because they could talk about, this is what I did in service at some age, and this is what I've done now. I mean, people do service for a lot of different reasons, but it was very uncomfortable when I was in service myself, especially in China in 2016, 2018, when China was kind of becoming this thing. How many people did service solely as a stepping stone to something later? And so they quit their service, they admin-cept, and that was really bad for those communities. And so figuring out a way to teach people to say, this is worth it. It's good for the 2 years. It'll make you a better person. And it'll make your communities, great as well. And so I was talking this week, and, hearing that Peace Corps wants to have, for certain countries, a break to go back to the United States. I think that is a terrible idea because I think some people would go back to the United States and then not go back to their country of service. But that's a whole other thing. We have to find a way to make Peace Corps relevant for younger Americans. And when younger Americans are online all the time, in most cases, there are places in the world where you're serving and you're not going to be online. And that could cause extraordinary anxiety for some people. And so kind of teaching people it's okay to not have your phone and there's so much you can do.
Yeah, that's great. I think Nancy had her hand up. Go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, I think we need great advertising, and I think we need to use little snippets or videos on TikTok and Instagram and show young people what it's like. And I think even though they'll be looking at things online, I think we want the kind of people who enjoy life and can find adventure living with people offline and doing work. And there used to be some great pictorial ads too. I think maybe reinvigorating those and sharing those maybe in magazines or something. So I think advertising is key. There are a lot of things now that we didn't get. I think it's good to invite young people to find adventure in life and do something with other people around the world. So that's my thought.
Yeah.
Would you mind if I come in just for a second, Christina?
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be great to hear from Jonathan. I don't know, Chris, if your hand is still up from before you had another thought, and George. But I would like us to think concretely when we leave this conversation, what can we do to contribute? What I heard from you, I think it was Chris, I'm sorry, I believe it was Chris, what triggered for me was there's a role in terms of how NPCA and with our relationship and MOU, and when we're working with Andrew and Peace Corps, there are things that we can do to advocate or to discuss some of the points that you raised. But in addition to what NPCA at the higher level, what can each group, what could their role be to inspire, et cetera? Because at the end of the day, I'm going back to data. I'd love to be able to say, I believe it was Hawaii, talked about doing certain things at a place. If we could say that we as a collective went to 150 different schools, that's a powerful thing to say. So what can we do, given everything we all know, given all the challenges? What would NPCA do, if you will, advocacy, discussions at a higher level, but what can groups also do that would all roll up to showing our mission? And I'll leave it there.
I'll let Jonathan out. But before to Jonathan, I was just thinking about some easy things we can do about maybe as groups using social media is a big part of it. TikTok is like hot right now. Peace Corps cannot be on TikTok, but we need more voices on TikTok. I'm always trying to look for TikToks because I got on TikTok because of my kids for teaching and I just scroll through it, but I can't find much Peace Corps stuff. So maybe we need as groups something like that, something concrete, something easy. That might be something. Go ahead, Jonathan. I'll let you speak now.
Thanks so much, Christina. And Carla, I got to say, you actually really set me up nicely there. So kind of going from what Ben was saying, our Pacific Nexus is trying to help out the Peace Corps volunteers after they come back from service. What I'm hoping to build off of that is the connection from what comes post-service to what comes into service. Potential Peace Corps volunteers look at Peace Corps service and they say, okay, I'm going to leave for 2 years and then I come back with what? I come back to what are my pathways? What are my opportunities? With RPCV Nexus, we're trying to have those conversations with providing the career services, but more importantly, having career pathway conversations, career panels, as you will, to talk about, hey, my 2 years of Peace Corps service, my 3 years of Peace Corps service got me the skills and the experiences and things that I needed to get me to where I am now today. And we're able to then start drawing those dots across time. This is something that Peace Corps used to do, I'm going to say almost 10 years ago, but then what NPCA did with the Global Reentry Program. As both of those programs were able to sunset, RPCV Nexus is trying to help out with that. We're setting up programs for mentoring programs to help out conversations between the volunteers that are just coming back with those that have that experience. Because the biggest thing that we're able to do is, to Carla's point, transfer that knowledge, but show the numbers. Where are we going? How does Peace Corps act as a stepping stone, as a springboard into our next career phase? I'd love to have conversations with people. I know you all work across the world, across the country in different aspects of things. How can we showcase these stories and exactly of what Dan is putting into the chat, like how we're able to parallel these different missions. I've chatted with Megan from WPCL with Peace Corps, Women of Peace Corps Legacy. We're looking to collaborate with all the different groups on a lot of these. So I'm going to put our...
You muted yourself.
Thank you. I put the resource library into the chat. We're looking to build this out. Any kind of recommendations, any kind of connections, and I'll put my email out there as well, because we're here to help everybody. That's why we come to NPCA. That's why all these different groups exist, is to help those that come behind us. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. Chris, and then maybe we'll let George, and then we'll move on to our last part.
Yeah, thank you. So as I mentioned before, I coordinate the Peace Corps prep program at the University of Arizona, and probably a lot of you don't know what the Peace Corps prep program is. Maybe you've never heard of it. It is a program that was created by Peace Corps about 7 years ago. It is one of the 2 university partnership programs, the other being the Coverdell Fellowship. But the goal of the Peace Corps prep program is to work with undergraduate students to prepare them for Peace Corps service, to help them improve their application process. Now, I'm really lucky at the University of Arizona that I have a dedicated staff allotment to me to do this job. I also have funding from a college to provide program resources and support. But when I went to the conference last year for all the similar coordinators for the conference or Peace Corps prep positions, I am definitely in the minority of being a dedicated staff person and having program funding. Most of the other prep coordinators, it's like a fraction of a faculty member's job or a fraction of a staff advisor's job in a career services. Most of them don't have program funding. That means that their capacity, their scope is limited. And so what I would really encourage you all to do as affiliate groups, as NPCA, is to look strongly at the Peace Corps prep program. And I'm going to post a link in chat here. You can see all of the universities. There's 144 of them that have Peace Corps prep programs across the country. Reach out to those programs, reach out to the prep coordinators, give them support, pay for events, say, hey, we have volunteers, we want to come to campus, we'll throw you $100 to buy pizza for a meeting, or sponsor event. Come to our meetings, invite students to come to our meetings. Let's do service projects together. Let's have social events together. Start building those connections and fostering those connections. Even more so than the Peace Corps recruiters, who are sort of temporary at campuses. They come and they go, their usual RPCVs. Usually for the recruiters, they're coming in fresh. They may or may not have any experience with the region or the university. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know the right people. Universities can be really big, complicated places, especially large universities like a University of Arizona. They're hard to navigate. The recruiters usually spend their first year just kind of figuring out which way is which, who to talk to, making connections before they can really make a lot of connections. The prep coordinators, on the other hand, are usually people who've been at the university for a while. They are often returned Peace Corps volunteers in and of themselves. They have more familiarity, they have more knowledge, so they have a lot more direct impact and potential in reaching and serving undergraduate students. I met with 10 undergraduate students just this past week from the incoming class who are all interested in joining the prep program and want to be Peace Corps volunteers. TikTok is great. All the students I talk to, pretty much on Instagram, right now. I think TikTok will be for the, maybe high schoolers and up and coming, but Instagram is still really a powerful platform for them. But an increasing number are swearing off of social media. Make sure that your pitch, kind of what Peace Corps is about these days, and talk about the benefits, particularly when we want to recruit diverse applicants to Peace Corps. Folks and students that don't have the opportunity to do study abroad, because study abroad is pretty expensive and inaccessible for a lot of students, Peace Corps is a great alternative for any of those students to get that international experience. And when you talk about the benefits of student loan deferment, the Coverdell Fellowship when you get back, paying for subsidizing graduate school, the fact that you can go and live in another country for 2 years, pretty much all expenses paid, and do volunteer work, those are the kind of things that really connect with students and help them make that calculus in their head of what's in it for me, what do I get out of it. I could talk about this for hours, but I'll leave it there. But please, I encourage you to reach out to your local Peace Corps prep programs, support them as affiliate groups, and for the NPCA, I would look at how can you all support Peace Corps partnership or Peace Corps prep programs at universities, and what kind of maybe grant funding program, things like that. I know y'all going to see a grant application from me coming up to support some of our work, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. George.
Yeah, thanks, Christina, and thanks everybody. Those are all really great ideas. And to get back to Carla's question on what can we do with affiliate groups to make an impact here. I'm speaking from a background. I was with Peace Corps for 17 years in a variety of roles, and so got to see it on many levels. And this is my personal opinion, I believe that we need to change from doing service to the Peace Corps to doing service to countries, specifically the Peace Corps way. What I mean by that is none of our recruitment is focused on countries. Our recruitment is focused on Peace Corps, right? And so when I think about Americans that could connect to Mongolia, for example, there's never been a Mongolian American or somebody with Mongolian heritage that's ever served in Peace Corps Mongolia. And there's thousands of Mongolian Americans that could serve in Peace Corps Mongolia, but they don't even know it exists. And how do we connect those people to that country? How do we connect Americans to their heritage? And I believe that is a shift that could help our recruitment and completely change the Peace Corps paradigm. Because every country is super different. Peace Corps is super different everywhere. It's nice that we have a lot of common Peace Corps experiences in certain ways, but I would love to change that. The people are connected to the world now. Peace Corps doesn't have to be the way it used to be. Peace Corps can be something else. So I would just love to see that paradigm shift happen, and it would look different in every country, obviously. I know about Mongolia because that's where I served and where I lived for 9 years and was a DMO and everything. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. And thanks everybody else for the comments as well.
Thank you, George. I was just thinking one of the best things I did, because my dad served in Peru and married my Peruvian mother. And honestly, serving in Bolivia was the best way to really understand a part of who I was by serving in Bolivia. They're very similar culturally, but I started, even understanding my mom, who's a very typical Latino mother. But it's like really to be able to connect back and be able to see that really helps the volunteer kind of connect to their own heritage as well. So recruiting, the diversity recruitment is really important. We have so many people. Go ahead,
Yes,
Carla.
and I'm just going to jump back in on one thing, because our goal is to come away with something that would be measurable. And what I'm hearing from George is that it would be nice to have his dream, or his thing would be able to see how we can support linking a cultural heritage linkage of volunteers. So I put it on the table, if that would be something that a potential area where we would, as a group, be able to commit to as one approach, one of many. We're not married to any one thing, but what would we be able to measure and data? So in the end, we would be able to say, Andrew, I'm just using you, Andrew, because I saw you were on the line. Andrew, here is an approach that we used, and look at the results that came from the Peace Corps community. So I know the conversation is rich, and I know I'm a little bit pragmatic, so I'm looking for a little bit of the middle ground. But what are we going to come away with that we would be able to do, in a year to help in this effort? Just bringing us back.
Can I actually, I know, I think I see Blue and Anya have their hands up. Can I pause it and go to the next section about volunteer recruitment? We've been like kind of talking about it. And then I actually recruited my neighbor, my friend. I'm actually in Rochester, New York right now, and Tony Agnello is very active, and actually Brett, I think I see him in the chat. They were talking about some of the stuff they've been doing, because in our region, even though we have tons of universities, we really don't have a recruiter to help us like navigate like recruiting. And we have fairly active RPCV, especially the Buffalo RPCVs. So can I let Brett maybe pop in and say a few words about what they did, and then we can go back. We'll go back to Blue and Anya about what they wanted to talk about, and then after that we can talk, I imagine, whenever until we can, because then that part will be done. So I don't know, Brett, if you're there, if you want to say a few words.
Hi, Christina. Thank you for passing that off. So yeah, our group, I had put in the chat, but we were approached by Canisius to sit on a panel discussion. And then further from there, we actually have an RPCV on our board who is an associate professor at Buff State. So really, we've been looking to reach out to local universities, schools, areas around Buffalo that typically are underserved and underrepresented. And a lot of it just comes down to the fact that we don't have a recruiter near us. So we've kind of just taken it upon ourselves to do that activity, just for what it is. And again, not to knock PC or MPCA, but it's the fact that, like, if it's going to get done, we're just going to do it. And that's kind of just the method that we've taken, and it's been pretty successful so far. Now, to Carla's point, we haven't done data collection, which certainly something we can do in the future. But we've seen a pretty well-attended event, and we've had actually great interest in the group, and we're hoping to curate more interest in some events that we can put on locally.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then Blue, I know you've been waiting patiently, so please.
At my age, waiting patiently is the only thing I can do well. Hi, I'm Blue Woldridge. I was a volunteer in Nigeria from January of '63 until I left 3 years later at December of '65. And I've been a university professor for like about 50 years. And I certainly have been promoting Peace Corps service as a professor. But I think we might want to focus on two things: the actual enjoyment and what we learn from being in country, and how that exposed us to an interest in lots of different countries. I've ended up by going back to many different countries, working in Africa, but other countries as well. But also how it affected my career. I tell my students, and I guess we have, Chris mentioned the name of a Peace Corps prep program at VCU, and I've met with people, and they've written about me and so on. But I think I claim that everything positive that's happened in my career, and a few negative things, happened because I had been a Peace Corps volunteer. And it just led me into one position or career path and so on to another. So I put in something in the chat. I can remember when I got out of the Peace Corps sponsored the Green Book or the Green Sheet, which was a listing of jobs that organizations were looking for Peace Corps with Peace Corps experiences and or universities.
Yes.
And I can remember going to graduate school because I applied to a graduate school that was particularly looking for people with Peace Corps experience, and that was
Mhm.
back in the 60s. So anything that we can do for that, as well as I promoted through my professional associations. I can remember on Obama's inauguration day at the National Academy of Public Administration, we had a group of senators from northern Nigeria, one who by coincidence had been a student of mine from Sokoto and had gone on to become a provincial or state senator. And so, I mean, that was very rewarding for me, and he claimed he remembered me. But certainly, anything that we can talk about and focus and make clear pathways on how Peace Corps experience can help us in our careers as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Blue. It's okay. So Anya, go ahead.
So I, for example, have a perspective from a former staff, and I would love to be able to be eligible to be a recruiter for the Peace Corps. However, because I don't have the actual RPCV, I wouldn't be eligible. And I think that that's something to bring up, because as people that have been directly working in the field with the communities and volunteers, I believe that may be something that could be considered to be lifted so that there is a broader capacity for recruitment from a different angle. And I'm also interested in how can we make this recruitment more targeted, because recruiting sometimes for the Peace Corps tends to be a little bit too broad. And I, for example, would be highly interested in creating a recruitment platform for the public health programs, specifically connecting the dots for the high school students that are interested to pursuing healthcare careers and wanting to go into like a public health program. And Masters of Public Health are becoming highly popular at this time in healthcare. And that would be a great advantage for someone that has completed a Peace Corps service tour to be able to be eligible for those programs. And the type of recruitment that has to happen for healthcare industry is kind of more, it's a mixture between business and corporate type presentation to a simple presentation that could be held at a community college that has programs that have students from all kinds of economic backgrounds. So I just really am hoping to be able to see a more targeted recruitment effort on the national level that targets specific career paths, like Blue was saying, and like sort of like George was saying, that a certain mind shift has to happen to accommodate the changes in the industry, as well as bringing in people that actually would have a long-term impact in certain career fields.
That's really great. Anya, there's a couple people who told that you can, you don't have to be an RPCV to be a recruiter. So there's some hope there. But I agree with you with targeting recruitment. I always, I come from a science background, spent 10 years being a scientist. And I always felt that I think scientists should, either before they get their PhDs, they should be serving the Peace Corps and actually go into the communities where they're doing that research, because it brings more to their research. And it wasn't always understood. So targeting certain areas, or engineers, there's a lot of opportunities there to kind of make those connections. And I agree on that one. I think we're getting pretty close to 6, so I think we could wrap up. I think we could go on with this. I think we're going to have other opportunities to move forward in the future. But
can I ask one
yeah.
question on this before we go?
Yeah.
I would love to just get feedback that if the standing committee were to propose a particular, I'm going to use recruitment for the purposes of the conversation, were to propose an indicator or a challenge, if you will, that each group were able to do 2 events. I'm just using 2, could be any figure, right? But 2 events, and at any level, I don't care whether it's, at a community fair, at a university, it doesn't matter. where they could commit to promoting Peace Corps and its value, you know, the value of the experience. If the standing committee were to come up with that, how would groups feel? Was that worded well, Christina?
Yeah, I understood. Yeah, I mean, is that something I think that we could all make, even the smallest groups could probably go and, you know, go to the local university or go speak at a school.
A lot of us do that now, Carla. A lot of us do that now. That's part of the, like our group, that's our mission, is we work third goal. We talk at Rotaries, we talk at high schools. We've had send-off events for the last 7 years, whether it's virtual or it's in person. And now we just had an annual picnic, and the Peace Corps recruiter that's out here, all the applicants that are really interested in Peace Corps, she sends them to our picnics. She sends them to our Pauhanas. And what I learned, having met with Ed Case and his group, this is something for you that the standing committee, one of my suggestions is to make sure that we're all on the same page with the data, learning who is overseas from our state. Because Ed Case gave us a list. He sends a letter every year thanking people for joining the Peace Corps. And the list he gave me was different than the list that the Peace Corps recruiter gave me. So I now know that there are 17 people from Hawaii where I only thought there were 12. So if we could link to the data, really work with Peace Corps on the data so that we know how to help the kids overseas. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
So then I would say, just know that that's probably an opening, that we are looking at this issue.
I think Dan wants to say something
Yeah.
before we conclude.
I feel like we're wrapping up, and I just wanted to offer a kind of final couple of words. So if there's anything else you wanted to get to on the slides, please do so before I speak up.
Oh, the only thing is did the whoever did the poll for for the approval of the minutes, was it approved?
Yes.
Yes, I can share the results.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then so it's passed. We'll also have, we'll probably convert this into the minutes for next year as well. And next year it will be in person. And one of the exciting things about is Peace Corps Connect 2025 that I think our affiliate groups will be definitely more integrated into the whole Peace Corps Connect. We will definitely have our meeting to as well like this, but we're going to be very much part of the Peace Corps Connect rather than us kind of a separate event. And am I missing anything? And can we
Can I just add a couple things?
Sure.
One is one of my friends who was in the Peace Corps with me, he told me all about global volunteers. And that's where you can go. And he's done this, I don't know how many, he's gone to 50 different countries, because you go for 1 or 2 weeks just teaching English, doing some particular thing. So it's something to do after you have come back from your 2 years. The other one is another friend taught gardening in Chile. And after that, he went, and I don't remember what the program was, but he would go for maybe a month or so, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and he would teach square foot gardening in different countries, like in Africa. And so there are a lot of those kinds of programs, apparently, that it would be nice to be able to have the returned Peace Corps volunteers know more about.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I think we have there's some reminders on here on our last one, and then we'll let Dan complete wrap up the last part.
So again, the Rupee awards or the nominations have been completed. We're asking everyone to vote. Just a gentle reminder, if you have not completed the post-event survey, again, please do that. We ask that you join and post on the affiliate Facebook page. It's a good communication tool. And finally, you will be getting information in the coming weeks about the reaffiliation survey. So because the period is now changed, it's going to be open from November 1st to January 31st. So you will be getting more about that.
Well, thank you, especially to Carla and Christina. I felt really very good energy at the AGNAM, really the whole afternoon and yesterday evening. And I think we can bring the AGNAM meeting to close in a minute. There is actually a couple things we're doing related to groups that didn't come out. I want to thank, I think almost every group that's represented here today participated in the sign-on letter requesting Peace Corps to share COSing volunteer contact information with NPCA so that we could make that available to groups. We want to close the loop with you on that. We had a very nice response, official response from the director's office that Peace Corps is not able to do that. And gave some reasons why. I think it can still be addressed through legislation, and we'll explore that opportunity. But I have to acknowledge the great relationship that we have with Andrew Wilson and the Third Goal Office, and the workarounds that we're creating. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it is about 10 years ago, maybe more, Peace Corps, due to Privacy Act regulations, stopped sharing the contact information for people who are leaving Peace Corps with NPCA, which we used to make available to groups so that we could enhance your membership and you could reach out to them directly with invitations. However, we are now exploring, and Andrew Wilson from the Third Goal Office is already implementing an invitation to join NPCA to all currently serving volunteers within their last couple of months of service, and other ways we've shared with them a flyer, and they're putting information about Peace Corps, NPCA into other Peace Corps materials. And what I'm especially excited about is the offer from the recruitment office to help NPCA capture people even before they begin their Peace Corps service so that we can connect them to affiliate groups. And this is good for all groups, country of service, local groups, and cause affinity related groups. So the idea there is that in recruitment materials will be including information about NPCA and the group network. The other thing that we did a webinar about this maybe 9 months or so ago, and Andrew, maybe you can repost that email address that for groups that are doing local events or online events for countries of service. If you send your event details to, thank you, Andrew, rpcv@peacecorps.gov. What Peace Corps can now do, and this is new, this is big, Peace Corps will go into their database and send an invitation to all invitees that are in your area or for your country so that they can join your group. The invitation should live on NPCA's Blackbaud new system. That way, we can capture the email addresses and names as they are signing up for your events and begin communicating with them on the front end of their service. This is very significant and perhaps the best way I've heard of in many years to capture more incoming Peace Corps volunteers. So great opportunity. Share your events with this email address. We'll reinforce this in other messages, but it is a great workaround and actually maybe even better than direct data sharing for engaging people before service. So thanks to Andrew. We're working on a video that Peace Corps has offered to share as well. And one other concept that we're exploring is a country-specific or location-specific email that would go to currently serving volunteers, inviting them to sign up directly with the country group. For example, Friends of Paraguay, volunteers in Paraguay would receive in their service at some point an email. We're still working on approvals for that, but it looks like it could happen as well. But it's just been a creative and great partnership, and we thank the Third Goal Office and Peace Corps for their flexibility and partnership there. There are other things we're doing. One other thing, just for example, We have an upcoming board meeting, NPCA, in Chicago on September 27th. It is our annual in-person board meeting, and that's where we'll seat our new board directors. The night before, we're going to do an event for all Chicago area Peace Corps volunteers and the CAPCA Volunteer Association. And if you feel like you have an annual event where it would be beneficial for NPCA staff or board members to be present, please let us know. We feel like we can help promote your event, and we'll send out emails through our database. We might even occasionally ask Peace Corps to help promote bigger events in our community as well. Certainly, we won't do that for all the events, but and we won't be able to make it to all events. But we do want to return to days that we have seen in the past where we try to have NPCA representatives at more of your events. So please keep us in mind, and send an email to groups@peacecorpsconnect.org if you have an event that you would like us to work with you on. I think I've talked enough, and I'm sure everybody is anxious to get off a Zoom meeting after 4 hours now. We've been going, so a lot longer for staff. Any final words, Christina, Carla?
No, just thank you. I mean, we still have a huge number on the call. I am so grateful. I think we're all so grateful for everybody's engagement. I'm excited for next year, Peace Corps Connect 2025. I think it's going to be even better, but this has been a great afternoon. Yeah, just whatever you need, reach out to us. We're happy to continue this conversation, and thank you for your time.
And with that,
Thank
we
you
can
so much.
officially close Peace Corps Connect 2024, and next year we'll see you in person.